Hi, hello, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to talk to some real people about some real things, living real lives, doing real stuff. This is the Working Perspectives Podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied today by special guest host Justin Richardson, and our guest today is the mighty Michael Vasconez. J-Dub, how you doing, my man?
Hello.
Looking good? You ready to rock?
Yes, I am.
Very good. You can find all our content and all our stuff on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can hang out with us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast and join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, then do us a favor and email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. All right, let's get this thing started. Let's go.
It's our objective to be effective by voicing societies. Working perspective, exploring your day and how you get paid. Launching a new episode every Tuesday. Your day can transform while we inform with new episodes available on every platform. So check out our vibe and how we get live. Then do us a solid. Share and subscribe. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. Working perspectives.
All right, J-Dub, let's talk. So, as most lower listeners will know, October 2nd is coming up around the corner, and that is when I will be winning the rights to my show back. For those that don't know, on May 11th, 2021, this show was pirated by a Captain Jerkbeard, an asshole, aka Tom Lavelle. He wasn't approved by the Podcast Approval Association of America, but he snuck on here with some backdoor dealings with Cheryl, who is no longer with the Podcast Approval Association of America. And when he snuck on here, he corrupted my old co-host Shake, and he bought the rights to the Working Perspectives podcast out from underneath me. But he did me a favor. He could have just taken the show and ran. But no. He said, if I want the rights to my show back, all I got to do, beat him in a game in Mario Kart, which is basically like giving me the show, you know? I mean, J-Dub, do you remember now? Here's a quick story. It was a soft October night, right? We were in Manayunk, Pennsylvania, Roxborough on Markle Street, 444 Markle Street. We were there, we're hanging out, and we're competing. We're competing in a game known as Mario Kart Double Dash. And the odds were stacked against me. It was Rainbow Road. Everyone knows Rainbow Road. And it was the last 2 laps on Rainbow Road. Do you remember what happened that night, J-Dub?
I witnessed with my own eyes Kid Salami take 6 blue shells in the final lap and still win.
6 blue shells in the final lap and still pulled it out. I don't know if that's world class, but it sounds world class to me. Smells like world class, I would say.
Yeah, me and Munley got off work. We drove down to Manayunk and witnessed greatness.
It was honestly, it was a feat. I rode the high of that win for months. It really was. I do
believe you stapled the GameCube controller to the wall.
Yeah.
And retired it.
I mean, after a performance like that, what do you do?
What system are you playing Mario Kart on?
This system will be played on the Switch. It will be Super Mario Deluxe 8 will be the version of the game. The standard Mario Kart Double Dash race or a standard Mario Kart race prior to the Switch and the DS, I believe, was a 16 race. Like, it was 4 cups, 4 race per cup. It was like, I think it was Mushroom, Star, Flower, and Special. So though we've picked the 16 races, right? It was a lot of deliberation in picking the 16 races that we were going to have, but we came down to the 16 races that we chose. Right now we're discussing on what we know you have to finish with Rainbow Road. This whole saga is the road to Rainbow Road, right? But to start it off, we're debating. We're thinking possibly Baby Park to start the game off, but Baby Park will get you, right? That'll suck you right in.
Is it just one-on-one racing, or is it going to be a field?
It's going to be a field. It has to be a field because if it was one-on-one, right? I mean, one-on-one, there's not like, because say, I don't know, I think there's a better chance of like, because imagine if like, we could
Yeah,
be
you
1 and
finish
2 every
fourth.
time, but if
Yeah.
you finish fourth, that's a big mountain to
It's a
climb.
big point loss.
Yeah. So, but it could happen to anybody. So it's a whole thing. But yeah, so the Road to Rainbow Road is probably gonna, it's gonna be a whole thing, and I'm gonna win the rights to my show back October 2nd at Graham's Pub, the land of the free, the home of the brave. Look for updates and everything on our YouTube page at Working Perspectives Podcast for lead up videos and content and everything like that. It's gonna be great, and I'm excited to get my show back. I'll tell you that, or the rights to my show back. So either way, I want to talk about today's guest, Mike Vasconez. So. I teach boxing at this gym. It's called Renzo Gracie PA Academy. You know the gym, and I brought the gym up a bunch of times, right, on the show. It's a really, really special place, and it's one of the things that makes it so special is the people you meet there, right? Like this, like you meet people from all walks of life in all periods of their journey of their life, right? And it's from all ages, like I'll teach boxing, right? I'll teach boxing. There's a kid in there that's 12, and then there's another guy that's like 52, right?
Yeah.
All in the same class, but they're all kicking ass doing their thing. It's just, you could be in there with anybody, right? But a couple of years ago, I was teaching boxing in the morning at the time, and in walked our guest. He was looking sly, just got back from, he had been overseas. He had gotten back from being overseas, came back to the gym, which he was a member of before he went overseas. And he came back and kind of got into his routine again of training and all that stuff. He ended up being a boxing instructor at the gym as well, right? And, I got to know him, and he was just a good dude. I'll tell you, there's times when you're like, you meet people, and the gym's one of those places where you can meet someone and it's like, oh God, like what the hell? But usually you meet someone, it's like a like-minded person, and you're like, you know what? Me and this guy, he gets it,
We're gonna get along.
Yeah. And I felt that way with Mike. I think he was, he's just a normal, cool dude that's like to hang, have fun, and be one of the crowd. So when I contacted Mike about being on the show, I was super excited that he agreed to. I mean, his journey, so from where he started to where he is now, it really is incredible, and I'm really excited to share it with everybody, because it really is like an underdog, like, pick yourself up by your bootstraps and get your shit in gear, like he really had to face a lot of demons and really get his life turned around, and he did it, and I'm really proud of him. I'm really happy to have him here.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So that being said, I would like to welcome Mike to the show, and I know you're doing great, Mike, and everything's good. I would just like to ask, have you seen the movie Bohemian Rhapsody? And if yes, what'd you think of that piece of shit movie?
You're asking me if I've seen it?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that.
Good. J-Dub, you hate that movie too, right?
I mean, I did see it.
Yeah.
I'm not as passionate about your hatred of it, but I mean,
it is. It's awful.
It's a movie that exists.
It's so fucking awful. There's a scene in the movie where Rami Malek, who plays possibly the greatest vocalist in the history of fucking planet Earth, right? He's portraying this character, and he's at a dinner scene with this chick who he's banging, and the chick's dad's deaf or something. And he says how his daughter is a freaking, animal in the sack. And then she's like, he read lips, right? And I'm just like, is this where this movie's at? Is this Freddie Mercury? Do I need to know this about him? Does this really add to him? Yeah, I don't know. That's just one of the small things about that fucking beaver tooth nightmare of a film. But Pete likes it, and well, he's fucking Pete. What are you gonna do? Yeah. So either way, Mike, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for coming on, pal.
I'm doing awesome. I'm intrigued by that movie just because of what you're saying about it, not because it's good, but just because of how ungood it might be.
Now you're like curious, like how bad is this piece of shit? There's been a lot of people, like I would have to say, and I'm pretty confident, it's like 75-25 of like 75% of the people that come on. I ask that question to everyone that comes on. 75% of the people that come on do not like the movie, and have thought like it's, some people are like haven't seen it or just indifferent, but like people who do have an opinion about the movie, 75% of them hate the movie, and 25 actually like it. But the 25 that actually like it just say it to like piss me off. You know what I mean? So either way, so how you doing, man? Everything good? Life's going good?
Like for me, life is doing just super amazing things.
Awesome. So at the top of the show, I want to shout out we're going to get into your businesses and everything like that, and for you and your wife, but I want to shout them out at the top of the show and let everyone know that there's going to be a link to everything that you have in the descriptions, in the descriptions of this episode for them to check out. And I do suggest checking it out because it is great stuff. So can you plug your stuff real quick?
Sure, absolutely. So all my social media outlets, my username is Michael Vasconez 11. Very simple.
Mhm.
My website is michaelvasconez.com. And in those, you'll see some courses that I've made for free. And then you can get to know me a little bit through those courses.
Mhm.
And there's a link in there also that you can sign up for my newsletter. And I give a lot away for free. And that's my whole purpose is to get a lot out to you guys. So yeah, hop on there, get to know me.
Yeah, no, and like I said, links to everything, all the social media, all the websites, there'll be links in the description of this episode. And I'll tell you what, you're a great follow on TikTok and on Instagram. You put out great videos with great content, great messages. You and your wife, great stuff. Really, really, really happy.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, really proud of what you're doing. So usually we would do a memory lane segment here, but we're gonna skip that. We're gonna get right into the good stuff. So Mike Vasconez here was born in Lansdale, PA, the land of the free and the home of the brave. He grew up in Percy. He went to private Christian school from kindergarten to 6th grade. And I want to touch on this a little bit because I went to a Catholic school. And when I went to a Catholic school, there were teachers that would like give you a smack on the back of the head and stuff like that. But you had it a little different, Mike.
It was brutal, man.
Yeah, give us a little what was going on there.
Well, the school's education actually was extremely well. I actually went into the public school, and where I was from where I left, I remember in the time, like I didn't have any issues transitioning all the knowledge that they were trying to teach me, the writing, arithmetic. I was like, yo, I did this already.
Yeah.
So I was like good on that end. And I, not to say anything, whatever about the school, but me as a particular individual, the way that I was, it did not suit me. And I got my ass spanked quite often. And I'm actually just realizing some of the issues that I've had in my life stem from the programming that was put into me during that time. And
wow.
It's an amazing thing to go through these patterns as an adult and trace them back to when you were 10 to 15 years old, because we literally are who we were and what we learned at that time in our life. So
yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And when you saying that, it does make a lot of sense. Two things. Because when I went to Catholic school and transferred to public school, I was way ahead in the curriculum, like a year ahead in the curriculum.
Yeah, I was about to.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, well, I get a year off, I guess, because I already know all this shit, even though I didn't know half of it. And then, but then also it was like you can kind of get away with more in public school, but from what you're saying about like being like not transformed, but influenced at a young age, dude, I'll tell you this. One of the things that influenced me the most about when I was in Catholic school is that I didn't have a male teacher. And I've said this on the show before. I didn't have a male teacher until I was in 9th grade, right?
Actually, I may not have either.
Yeah, dude. But well, go ahead. In the Christian school.
I think in the Christian school I went to, it was all females too.
Yeah. That's usually the case. My mom's a teacher, and she taught at Catholic school for a while, but she only did it because, like, I don't know why she did it, but I guess she kind of liked it. But teaching at Catholic school, the money isn't as good, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're not in a union. It's a whole bunch of horse shit, So, and like you have to deal with a bunch of bullshit. You know what I mean? Like if you're in the public school, the money's good, the resources are good, the benefits are really good, stuff like that, especially around here. They have a really good public school system. But yeah, no, I'll tell you what. And like the fact that I had only female teachers, it changes like your thinking. You know what I mean? Like they were so catty, like the women, and they were so gossipy and like bullshit. It was so bad. Yeah, it's not good for the development of young men, I would say.
Well, if you think about it, you're in third, fourth grade, whatever. You haven't really developed the consciousness to contemplate like right, wrong per se in your reality, good or bad. Like you're really just evolving out of instinct at that point from how you were raised even prior to that. You're just doing whatever you want to do. And I would get in trouble all the time. I had no idea why I was getting in trouble for it.
Yeah.
And then I get my butt walked down to the principal's office and I get hit with this freaking 2x2 paddle all the time.
My God.
No idea what I was doing wrong. And it gave me a lot of pent-up aggression and rage and delinquency later on in my life is what it did.
Yeah, because you had no recourse and like no way to fight back, right? Like
I just was like getting internally pissed.
Yeah.
I didn't know why,
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And that I mean, I think that school of thought for raising kids they're past that. But I'll tell you,
they are. I don't think it happens anymore.
J-Dub, I know that at North Wales Elementary, there was like maybe a third grade teacher. We had a guest on the show, friend of the show, Sean Day and Steve Cabot had both mentioned a third grade male teacher, third or fourth grade.
There was fifth grade, there was Mr. Armstrong, and then sixth grade, there was Mr. McNerney. Both males. Yeah. And I had Mr. Armstrong in fifth grade, and like I didn't have a dad in the house at the time. My favorite teacher. He was the best. He was awesome.
Dude, that's what Sean and Steve were saying as well, because they were like, like he was like he would come out and play sports with you guys and like buddy around, but he was also like he was tough but fair kind of thing. Like they said he was awesome. Sean Day said he changed his life.
He's the only teacher who would like grab you by like your shirt and be like, "What are you doing?" I'd be like, "Oh, I don't know. I'll stop doing that."
Yeah, good. And you need that, like I don't think young girls need that as much, but young men fucking need that for sure. I remember like I was like I guess I was like a pretty good kid, like behaved wise, right? And then my dad left when I was like 15. And the fucking law left with him. And I was fucking doing, it was like, oh God, I would end up getting expelled from school. Like it was a fucking nightmare. But, hey man, what are you going to do? I had that repressed, anger I had to get out. What are you going to do? So,
yeah.
So either way, like we said, you did kindergarten through sixth grade in the, getting spanked in the Christian school. Then sixth grade, you went to public school. What high school did you go to, Vasco?
Penridge.
Oh, all right, cool. Go Rams. So went to Penridge, and then you did, while you were in school, high school, you were doing soccer, you did some martial arts, and we'll talk about and like rock climbing, which I thought was really cool. You know what I mean? Like that, I thought that was badass. But so when you were coming up, how long did you play soccer for, and what'd you think?
I loved it. It was like a huge passion of mine. But then I started boxing with Rich when the gym first opened up, and I just like let all the others. I played lacrosse too, and then my coaches were kind of like bent that I was just leaving. But once I started boxing and doing jiu-jitsu, like it was like this is all I really care about. Yeah. So that's all I did from then on out.
I agree.
And rock climbing.
Yeah.
I always did that.
That dude, I love that. I think that's fantastic. But I would agree with you. I think that's one of the allures of the Renzo Gracie PA Academy. And when he says Rich, he means Rich Latta, who's the owner of the Renzo Gracie PA Academy. He was very good friends with both of us. But it is a special place because like I think it's like-minded people, like when you go there. Like there's people that have issues that like you need to fucking hit something or like things like, like there's shit like that going on, right? Where like in any other place you would be in trouble, but there it's okay because it's controlled and everyone knows the rules and things like that. So I think especially, I'll tell you this, for the development of young kids, like when it comes to like jujitsu, boxing, wrestling, things like that, the discipline and the self-confidence and like the physical fitness that you build by doing those sports can't be matched. You know what I mean? Like it's so important.
Yeah, actually what drew me into that is because I got into a fight with this kid and he split my head open with a rock, and he kept hitting me, and he probably would have done some major damage, but I had a bunch of buddies there that like ripped them off me and, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and this kid was like a couple years older than me. I was like right before I started driving maybe at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to learn a little more than what I know. I was like in shape, athletic kid, but like you learn how to fight. It's a different story.
Agreed.
So I looked up boxing. The kid's in my boxing class, right? So my mom finds out and calls Rich. And Rich is like, okay, I'll take care of it. Because, like, I didn't know who I was. Like, they split my head open. This kid was older than me. He was talking about coming after me again. Rich just kept putting us in the ring together. The class would be done, and he'd be like, you, get in the ring. And we just fought each other all the time. Yeah. And he ended up stopped coming, and I never saw the kid again. But I got to the point where I was like, yo, if I ever see this kid again and he wants to fight me, he won't want to fight me. After like 2 or 3 years of being there, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I think I ran into him again, and then we were friends.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, that one. So and this is something I think that is like, okay, so there was like this all boy. I was listening to a comedian. His name's Chris DiStefano, right? Big fan of him. And I talk about him all the time on the show. But he was talking about, he went to an all boys Catholic school in New York. Right. And he said that the principal there, right, when the boys would fight, he would take them to the basement and he had boxing gloves and he would tell them to box it out. Right. Make sure no one got really hurt, get the aggression out, and then it's over with. I'll tell you what, like I've had kids that I fought growing up and stuff like that. They become your friends, It's just like kids fight. It is what it is. It sounds like though they went a little overboard with splitting your head. But like, well,
he would have. That's what I mean. The kid was like in and out of like bad places. I think he was older than me. He probably was like I don't remember really, but yeah, the dude wanted to do like serious damage to me. And luckily, my friend saw that he had a rock in his hand, and he came out and pulled the kid off me because he was just cracking me over the head with this big rock in his hand, over like boom. And dude, he got me pretty good. And then
dude, that's fucked up. Like there's a big difference between a 15, 16-year-old and an 18-year-old. There's a big fucking difference.
Yeah, he was that difference. He was like, he was there. Yeah. And I didn't really know it until like I fought him. Yeah. 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 So I felt it pretty much like as soon as we started fighting. So
yeah. I would love if they would reinstitute that, because when I was a kid, right? Like there's this movie, it's called Gentleman Jim. It's fucking one of my favorite movies. It's like a real old-timey movie with like Earl Flynn and Ward Bond. It's about a boxer named Gentleman Jim Corbett who beat John L. Sullivan in like the early 1900s, right? It's an old boxing flick, but I love it. But one of the things that they would do is Corbett was in a family. It's like an Irish family with a bunch of boys. And when they would fight, their dad would take them to the garage and they would put boxing gloves on and they would box. Right. So my dad saw that. And I was always big for my age. And my older brother, asshole, is like normal sized. Right. But when we would fight, he would take us to the garage and make us box each other. And like, there'd be times where like, Dad, the fight's over. We don't want to be exhausted for the next hour. Like, you know what I mean? But
just get it out.
Hey man, it worked, dude. It worked, but it also helped. Like, it helped down the road with like self-defense and things like that. Like,
totally, yeah. I mean,
it was beneficial.
Even if you don't know like really what you're doing, if you do it a lot, you just get good at it. That's why some of these kids that grow up in hard areas, they've never been taught how to fight. They just are good at it because you've been in like 5 fights compared to somebody that's never been. You have a level of hostility and aggression in you already matched that can't be,
dude.
You've already been there.
Yeah, could not agree more. There is a difference you develop when you've been in like, I wouldn't say a life or death situation, but you'd be when you're in a fight with someone who like legit wouldn't be mad if they killed you. You know what I mean? Like, yep. But when you're in that situation and survive or even thrive in those scenarios, you develop a different type of confidence. And I think that's, I mean, that's it. But it's also, if you survive that and you realize you're not made of glass and something like that, that's another confidence you need as well. Because there's some guys that are afraid to fight at all. and I'm not saying, I'm not saying like everyone should be fighting each other, but I'm saying like you should learn that you're not made of glass either. You know what I mean? Like
Totally.
that's, to help with your self-confidence. But yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So nice. Okay. So let's keep it going. I do want to talk about this. So you did this growing up, and I think this is great. And I want to do this with my kid, is that you were rock climbing from kind of a young age, and you would just go out and like do it up, dude. That is like a phenomenal workout, especially for a young kid.
It's the best.
Yeah. Yeah. You like, dude, your grip strength must have been off the chain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're crushing cue balls in your hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can you get phenomenally athletic and coordinate. Your coordination is very high, and you get just a functional strength that is extremely high. And you learn a really good skill, because you can, like, if you're a rock climber and you're used to climbing, like, you can climb anything.
Yeah.
And it's a cool thing, because I think as human beings, we're meant to use our appendages in that way. And it's a very natural, like, primal thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's really fun.
Yeah. No, dude, I agree. It's very like, hey man, we've descended from apes apparently, right? So it's like, we're supposed to be climbing fucking trees. You know what I mean? Like, dude, it is like when you're a kid, is there anything better than like fucking climbing in a tree and like?
Yeah, I was always that guy. I was always that kid climbing stuff too.
Same. I fucking loved it. Climbed in trees and like on roofs and like all these kinds. I loved it. I thought it was the best, man.
Yeah.
What about
it
you?
was my secret when I was training, and I would tell people all the time, because they were always doing these high intensity workouts to get ready for fights and competitions and stuff. Yeah. And I really did have an incredible grip strength, and everyone would ask me what I did to train for it. And I would say rock climb, and no one ever went and tried it. And I mean, in jiu-jitsu, your grip is everything. It really is. If guys only really knew that secret. And I developed a really strong grip from climbing.
I would love, like, I think that's something like, I feel like at the gym, and this, Rich, the owner, he's like really good at like finding like unique things that like pertain to like fighting in general, like unique, like I guess like different like working out machines and stuff.
Yeah.
That you don't normally see that are like this is like really good for like there was one that developed the muscles in the front of your calves. Like
I got that machine too,
dude. Yeah. That like when we got like that, I was like, this is next level. Cause like it helps with your dexterity, your moving, your balance, like, and it made you quicker. And like, I was like, this is genius. Like who
takes care of your knees.
Yeah. I was like, why didn't we think of this? Like, but it's just like, if you don't think like, people don't know. I would love like if they could get like a rock climbing machine or something, They
have it. It's a wall that you can tilt at different angles, and you play games on it. So like, it's like checkmate. It's like you do something, they add it, and then you go, and whoever falls off first.
Oh, wow. I would love that. Where it's like, it's almost like a vertical treadmill kind of. And
it's a wall that you tilt, because the more the angle, the harder it is. And then like you climb, and then they add a move, and then you have to match their move every time. And the first person, but it's something you'll play for like an hour. So it's constant, like,
Oh, dude, I'll tell you what, when people try jiu-jitsu for the first time, I'm like, you might want to get someone to drive you home, because you're not gonna be able to grip the steering wheel.
Yeah. You're very right.
Brutal. Dude, I would love that, man. That's fun. I would love to try the whole rock climbing gimmick. I think that's great. That's awesome that you did that. So, okay. So let's keep it moving, right? So I want to start off with like your work and stuff. So you're in high school at the time, and you start working at like, you're a laborer at like a diesel mechanic shop, right?
Yep. Just
go ahead.
Just dirty, grimy tires, engines, taking them apart. I was that guy.
Oh man, that's cool though. That's a skill that's like when you're a young kid, you're like able to change your brakes and your oil and like all that kind of cool stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's a very, very like good, like also like being able to use tools and
I'm really good with tools because I don't have much experience with them in the past 10 years, but because I had them growing up, I actually, if I watch a YouTube video, I can do it.
Yeah.
I know how to do stuff. It's never been my life, but it was a big part of what I used to do. They would take in trucks that got hit, and that were totaled, and I would literally take everything apart. So I didn't know how to work on engines or do all the mechanic stuff. I just would like take everything apart, and then they would sell each piece for scrap.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty much what I did.
Wow.
So I drove forklifts and big machinery and all that kind of stuff.
And it was like an 18-wheeler truck, like one of them, like a big, massive truck?
Yeah, one of them. Yep.
Oh, wow. That's fascinating. That's cool though. So like, you're also like, you're a younger kid working in a shop with adults at the time though, right?
Oh yeah, man. I got the touch base with a group of people that most people don't understand. The old school truckers, these guys that like would, do whatever they had to do to drive across the country without taking any naps. They had stories and, and there was no hold bars, conversations and things like that. Yeah, it was good times.
Dude, that's great though, because you're like, like you're learning like all this new language and everything like that, and like coming back to your friends like, yo guys, you heard of donkey punches? Like, come on, like there's lot lizards, like let's go find some lot lizards, like you're hearing all that shit. Like, dude, that's great. I mean, that's great. I love that though. Like one of my first jobs was in a kitchen, right? And like, one of my first couple jobs was in a kitchen, but like you do learn like the older kid like kind of terms there, and it is kind of, it's like a rite of passage. I think it's cool, like, like, hey, don't say this at Christmas dinner, but like with your buddies, you're like joking around. You're like, bro, like what the hell, like saying all this stuff. Like I remember I had one buddy who was like, I guess, I don't know what they did at, like, I know what they did at his job and I won't shout him out, but he would like come back with like a new, like sexual, like, it was like he would be like, hey, did you ever hear of a Tokyo sandblaster or a Louisiana hot pocket? And like he's telling me like all these things, and I'm like, what the fuck? Where did you learn this? He's like, I heard it at work from Gary or whatever the hell his name is. And I'm like, damn, that's what you guys talk about? Jesus Christ. It's like if I said that in the office, oh my god. If you're talking about scuff muffins and Louisiana hot pockets in the office, you're in big trouble. Let me tell you. But
HR would be on your butt.
Dude, HR. I'll tell you what, HR gets a bad rap, but if you use HR right, HR can be your friend. I'll tell you. You need like, for anyone working in an office, one of my mentors at my office is HR director, and I fucking love him. He's the man. So you got it. Just it all depends. The HR is different in every office, but what are you gonna do? So nice. Jada, did you have what was your experience with learning adult language? Did you have a place like that?
I worked at a warehouse, and I was 19, and the next closest person to me in age, I think, was 38.
Oh, baby.
And before that, I used to work at a machine shop with all Koreans. And then before that, I can't really get into it, but I used to work with a bunch of Russians in a warehouse, and that was insane.
All right. Well, when your episode airs, it's going to be pretty damn interesting. So nice. All right, cool. So, all right. So besides, like, you're working with your hands, you're doing all that stuff, you're a total grease monkey, everything. And like,
I would just wash my hands and drive right to the gym. Every day I'd be out at 5, and then I would just check out and go to the gym, and then
dude, that's the best.
In there for the rest of the night.
Total grit. You went from a total grease monkey to a gym rat right away. Yeah, dude, that's all. I'll tell you what though, you must have been in some fucking serious shape, right? Like
I was.
Oh, because dude, that manual labor shit, that is no joke when it comes to like the physical labor of it. Like that is for real, Yeah,
I was a beast at that age. I really was. The stuff that I was doing, I didn't really realize what I was, but like it's like you look back on it now and it's like, damn, I see pictures of myself when I was like 19. I'm like, what the like, what was I doing? I used to take that shit. What do they call it? Gakic and Lukic.
Oh,
before it got banned. It was an anabolic steroid that they sold at GNC. I'm a kid. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, hey, what should I take? I'm working out a lot. And the guy's like, hey, try this stuff. And I took these 12 nitro green pills every day and then blue pills at night. And I just started getting huge.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, my liver is being destroyed. My kidneys are being destroyed. My internal organs are suffering.
Yeah.
But I'm getting huge. You know,
your mood swings and your testosterone are all over the place. Yeah.
Dude, it took me years to clean up from that shit, and because they eventually banned it. They took,
Oh yeah, dude. I remember there was a time we were big on stackers. You remember stackers and Stacker X?
Yeah, that stuff would give you a heart attack.
Bro, dude, you're not kidding. Like I had a buddy who would steal it from Q-Mart of all places, right? He would steal like the bottles, and J-Dub, you know who I'm talking about. But he would steal the bottles from Q-Mart and he would sell them to me like in bottles, and then I would sell the pills individually, right? At because you had to be 18 to buy them, but I would sell them to like kids on the wrestling team and like even wrestlers from other schools, and then like wrestlers are the coolest kids in town, so all the other kids like, dude, what are you guys on? Like, dude, that's crazy. All right, let me try it, So it was just like, dude, I would clean out of those in like a heartbeat. Right. But then also I was like having like heart palpitations at like 16. And I'm like, it was, I remember, oh my God. So this is when I was like, ooh, I should stop this. I sold it because like you do build a tolerance. So I was able to take like 2 at a clip or 3 at a clip. Right. And then there was this girl that was on our team and I sold her some, and she's like, well, how many should I take? And I was like, I don't know. I take 3. But she had never taken them before. First time she takes 3, and I'm like, ah! And then later she's like, I'm gonna fucking die. I'm gonna like she was like walking around like about to puke, and everyone's like, dude, you're a fucking idiot. And I was like, what are you gonna do? But she survived, so no big deal, right?
Live and you learn.
Yeah, how about it? So nice. So let's keep it moving. So you went from so like you said, you went from diesel mechanic, and then at the same time while you're a diesel mechanic, you're at the gym, you're kind of like 18, you're getting some swell on from working out and all that gimmick. You start doing security. So what kind of security were you doing?
And once I got actually, guys used to come to the gym looking for security guys.
Oh, wow.
So this one like cop came there because he did it on the side and got a hold of me. Yeah. And I'm like 19. I don't look 19. He never asked my age. Yeah. I was training there every night. He got to know me. He's like, hey, you want to come doing security for this bar down in Southampton? You want to start be a doorman? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then, you're 19. I'm having the drinks. I'm getting in there. They're not asking questions. Yeah. I'm bringing my friends there because, like, I work there. Yeah. So like, I never got carded there. Yeah. So I had like this in, and then once you work at one bar, then you get into others, and it just the jobs really do suck. At that age, it's like really cool and hip to do, I guess, kind of. But
it sucks.
Realistically, you get home at like 4 a.m. and you just dealt with drunk people all night, and you made like, okay money for that age, but still like And then I started getting into some places that like were sketchy, and and then luckily I never kept working at those places. Like it just kind of like phased out for me, I guess.
I've worked at door at some seedy places, but like, but then there's
not worth it.
Yeah. But then there's other times where like, this is like a nice loop. Like I would get picked. Like I remember there's one place, the US Hotel. It's on like Main Street in Manayunk. I would like bounce there when they had like big events and stuff. And that was fine, cause like it's Manayunk, it's nothing crazy. But then you work at like these blue collar, like dive bars. Right. And you're picking up.
You'll have guys waiting if you kick them out or piss them off, you'll be waiting at your car when you come out at 3 a.m. and there's no one there to see anything.
Oh yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
And also it's like you get like you run like if you're brought in right as security and it's like a towny bar, right? Like you gotta like know the rules. Like there's a guy, he might be an asshole, but you only kick him out when he's really bad. You don't kick him out when he's just being an asshole. And you're like, well, what the fuck? How am I supposed to know that in the first night? You know what I mean? But then also it's like, dude, there are some people that, and I always thought this, and I don't know if you thought the same, but when you're like bouncing and you're the door guy, like you're a target for people too, because they're like, oh, I want to, I'm having some drinks, I wouldn't do anything before, but now I'm like trying to impress whoever. So you know what I mean? So I was just like, that shit like pissed me off too, I
was lucky. I never actually got into anything like, I mean, a couple things that weren't really a thing, but like some of my buddies did, but I never did. I worked at that place in Philly called the Field House. I don't even know if it's still there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was like, all I did was stand around rich people and chicks in dresses.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
So
yeah,
that was easy.
I was bouncing there the night the Phillies won the World Series. How about that?
Hey,
me too, but a different World Series, maybe.
You were there. What? They only won it in 2008. Were you there?
I remember like maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was maybe it was the Eagles or something. I remember like being like all week packed because it was Phillies something going on.
I wonder if you did. Did you know Mark Hanna? He was the guy running security.
Mark, yeah, he's the guy who hired me.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Was I the one that did I get you the loop there? Because I remember when you came back, you asked if I knew anyone, like you were asking for loops for like security.
My buddy Opie did. Did you know a guy Opie? Spanish kid? He got me the job there.
I don't know. Were you there? So were you there the night? I'll probably have to cut this. Were you there the night that someone got thrown through the front door and their hand went through the front door and like sliced open their wrist and it was like sliced open like a vein and was gushing blood?
No,
that was my cousin who did that. But
no, I don't. No, I wasn't there for that.
All right, so let's keep it moving. So yeah, like we said, working security, it's fun, but it has a time frame. I wanted to honestly in my like I read this book once where like one of the main it was a fiction book, but one of the main characters was like a bodyguard that was trained to be a bodyguard its whole life and was like brought up through the training to be a bodyguard and like knew all like was specifically trained like on all these different styles of combat and everything like that, and like knew like his father was a bodyguard, his father's father, and they were like a bodyguard for this certain family, right? And I was like, God, I would fucking love that. I would love to be like that high level like security, right? But
it's not that great. I went and looked into getting trained as I did a bodyguarding course and got into some stuff, and they don't. Dude, for the amount of work you're putting in, the payback is not, unless you're like owning the company or a really high paying guy, it's a grind, a real hard grind.
Yeah, I can see that. No, I can absolutely see that for sure. I'm with you. I think, you're right. But it, like in your mind, you think it's like this build up like thing. Like I remember Rich was saying like he was working security for like Pearl Jam and like, you know what I mean? Like all that cool shit. Like that seems cool. But in your mind, like, dude, you're just standing there and like, like pushing people. It's,
standing there for 12 hours. You're just standing.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, there's no one, honestly, too, like, there's no one I think like besides like, my wife and my kid, but like, there's really no one that I value enough to protect them with my life. Besides, like that's
exactly
like who do you think you are? Like, all right, Kardashian, I'm not taking a bullet for you. You know what I mean? But yeah. So, okay. So let's keep it moving. So after you did the security and everything like that, that's you. So like you were doing the diesel mechanic and security at the same time, but then you went.
The security thing happened as I was in like that 1920 age.
So, because you started diesel when you were 15, you did there till you're like 20, and then you were picking up jobs like, because you're getting big on the illegal, steroids.
No, legal.
Oh,
very legal. GNC, man. GNC had it like like when you'd walk into GNC, that was like their top seller at the time.
Oh.
Lukic and Gakic.
Wonder because
I'll never forget it because it destroyed me.
Oh, it freaking worked though, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
yeah, it worked at destroying you. So yeah. So okay. So nice. So but so then after that, when did you sign up for the Marine Corps, and what was the process like, and how did you get into it, and why did you join it?
well, we'll keep this in high spirits, not to get into it too deep, but like the closest friend in my life, my closest person in my life, like my brother, my friend, he took his own life when I was like 20.
Okay.
And then I had my first MMA fight with Rich, like 2 weeks after that.
Jesus.
And that was like my outlet.
Yeah.
Like comprehend what happened, because after that happened, all I did, I just trained all the time and just had a fight then.
Yeah.
And then after the fight, my life completely fell apart. And I just pretty much drank myself into like this crazy, like my life just turned into like this delinquent whirlwind.
Yeah.
And one day I just was like, F it. Like, if I don't care about anything, why not go? And then I was like, what could I do? And my cousin was in the special forces and the Marines. And I'm like, yo, that sounds badass.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go join the infantry in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Didn't really give it much thought. Didn't tell my parents I was leaving. Didn't tell anybody. I just said, hey, I leave in like soon. I joined the Marines. And they were like, yeah, and they took you, and I was in phenomenal shape, because they actually were gonna look at me on putting me onto like a fight team, because when they found out that I fought, they invited me down to train with all their combat guys.
Yeah.
And they didn't realize, like, training up under Renzo like we did under Rich, like it's an art. Like I learned like the art of, these guys is a little watered down a little bit. Some of them are really high end.
Yeah.
But I was tapping them out, man. And I was like 2-stripe, 3-stripe blue belt, know?
No, yeah.
And they were like, holy shit. And I was a young kid. And so they were trying to get me on that. But then, like, we were at war in Afghanistan. They're like, nope, you're going on that way.
Yeah.
So I joined the infantry and went in there, and I was 20, like, I think I was 21 and a half or something when I went in, 22.
Jesus. So a couple of things I wanted to ask. One, when you're like, I'll say this, I fought a couple Army guys as well. And when it comes to like, I guess like armed combat, when life is on the line, I know the tactics are different than when it's
much different. Yeah. It's we're not learning to end anybody's lives.
Correct.
Yes. But like you do some of the higher end, you learn stuff that like they do it to you once. You're not like, you're either incapacitated, something's broken to the point where you're out of the fight, or you're not here anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So like, as far as that training goes, I've never had like a fight with an Army guy in that capacity, or a military guy in that capacity, I would say, where it's like, I don't know, like, there's submission stuff I know, right? And like boxing and Muay Thai and things, like I know, but I don't know like how to, like the killing the guy with one punch, like that's what they teach in the military. But as far as like combat, like boxing, wrestling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there's some guys that, that I could go with, but I would agree with you where it's like they're brawlers, most of them. Right, where it's like
brawlers, total brawlers, where it's like they're more like they'll fight you and they'll be aggressive and all that, which is, I mean, that's half the battle. But as far as like technique wise, it's just not on the same level. But had they been given the same training, they'd be next level. I will say. And it's a lot. It's evolved into much more technique now. Now it's like the guys that are teaching, because this is back when like MMA wasn't even very big. Jiu-Jitsu wasn't very big at all.
Yeah, you're like first season Ultimate
4 or 5
Fighter.
People in our Jiu-Jitsu class.
Yeah, now it's dude. Now it's like the biggest thing. Well, like the UFC was really becoming at that time what you're talking about. UFC, like the Ultimate Fighter kind of show just coming out.
Yep.
And the UFC just kind of started really to take off.
Yeah.
Like when you went away, the UFC hadn't even had their first pay-per-view in Philadelphia yet.
It was illegal and it wasn't sanctioned yet in Pennsylvania. We used to always have to travel outside of go to New York or New Jersey to compete or anything like that. It wasn't even sanctioned yet.
Yeah, but no, you're right. And then the second thing, I had this thought as well, and I think you had the same. So I get people coming in that want to take a fight, and they think like, I have this fight, I win this fight, and it solves my problems. And that's not the case. I had that thought as well. I know a bunch of other guys that did too. Like, I'm going to have this fight and then like things are going to be better and like it will solve my problems, whatever I have. And that's not the case. After you're done the fight, you still have the same problems. When
it's a distraction.
It's all it is. It's all it is. I mean, and there's a lot of positive to it, but don't go in there thinking like, this fight's going to make me happy or this fight is going to, find solace, because that's not the case. That's not what it
Fighting solves absolutely nothing. It really doesn't. It is only something you do for yourself. If you do it for any other reason, then it's really you're defeating yourself, because I did it for years as a distraction. Like my life was a complete train wreck, but I trained 5-6 hours a day and all I did was care about my training, but my life was a train wreck.
Oh yeah.
But for those people that have their life in order, they're good inside, they're training because they love it, it's a totally different story.
Yeah, there's a boxer I'm a big fan of that I met before. His name's Gabriel Rosado, and people would recognize him. We've talked about him on the show before, but he was in the first Creed movie. He was like the guy that Creed fought, like his first like tune-up fight, the Spanish guy. Gabriel Rosado, great fighter, and he has the best saying about fighting. And the saying is, if you don't fucking love it, don't fucking do it. And that is the truth. If you don't fucking love it, don't fucking bother.
Absolutely.
So let's keep it going. All right. So let's keep it going. So you're joining the Marine Corps, right? And you sign up, you piss clean after you do your Golden Seal and all that, right? So after you piss clean, you get in. How was boot camp for you? So you signed up as did we discuss this? An 0311 is infantry, but you signed up as like a different type of infantry. Is that what it was? Anything
03
I see.
Is infantry. 0311 is a rifleman. It's been so long. 0331 is machine gunner.
Okay.
And then you have 0351, which are the guys that shoot rockets.
Mm-hmm.
You have 0317, which is the scout snipers.
Yeah, I know the 0321s is the recon guys, and I did some research that the average Marine recon training costs around like $1.5 million for their training.
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive to be worth. And like we had a guy on the show, friend of the show, great guy, Nick Galante. He's a Marine recon, and he's been Marine recon for 14 years. And so did the calculations. His training, or because of his training, right, with all his training and everything he's done, he's worth, like him himself with the added training is worth millions. So
Force recon guys are like,
they're next
I don't
level.
have words.
Next fucking level, bro. Dude, couldn't agree. He was telling us like stories about the training and like some of the missions and that he was on, and he couldn't talk about a lot of it because he's still active, but just like the training and everything like that, holy shit, man. Just like they're next level. That's like the mental strength to be able to do what they do, next level. That's a special human, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
So you were in the Corps. How long were you in the Marine Corps for? Okay, so wait, let's backtrack. So you sign up, you go to boot camp. How did you like boot camp?
I mean, at that point in your life, you're miserable. You're being unprogrammed of everything. You're going through sleep deprivation. You're going through. All Marines get trained the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what your MOS is. They're just breaking you down to be a Marine. Pretty much you scream kill a million times a day, and they just destroy you for 3 months, and you just learn how to be a Marine, which is like, it's like, how do you learn how to be a Marine? I mean, you learn how to eat differently, walk differently, wear your clothes differently, talk differently. they transform you in 3 months to be a completely different human being. People do not recognize people when they come back from being once they go through boot camp. And and let me tell you what, going through boot camp at a time when guys are deploying to combat zones, it's a totally different element because my instructors were like crazy. Like some of them got back, just like some of them are like my one, they call him, what do they call him? It's crazy talking about this because I never talk about my military. So it's interesting coming back to it.
Is it all right?
They called him a kill hat.
Talk about it?
Right? No, we're good. It's just, we call them kill hats, right? So my one kill hat was a Fallujah vet. And Fallujah was the Battle of Fallujah, right? He was like full on in that. This guy was just like, he destroyed us. He he really brought it home for us. And like all of most of them were from that era, you know? So we got like really hard, good training. And then after that, you go on to whatever MOS you are, right? Whether you're a rifleman, a mortarman, a machine gunner, you go to your specialty school, which actually turns out to suck even worse than Marine. I would say you can't really say it's easy or hard. It's totally different, but it was another, 3-4 months of hell, you know. It's that's where they really bring it to you because you're not like, you're just learning your trade and you're a Marine now. They could really they really bring it. They really make things hard on you and accountable, but you're free. You go, on the weekends you have off sometimes and stuff. So you're a Marine at that point. You're you're kind of a human being, not really. In boot camp, you're not a human being, You are like
recruit, right?
You were like the bottom. I mean, I used to have to eat my food, chew it, spit it into a box, until the box was full. Then I had to eat it again.
Why?
That's the type of stuff they did to you. I hear they can't do that shit to you anymore. I hear they don't do that kind of stuff. Maybe they do, but they really mess with you. We used to go through the showers. And I hear they don't do this anymore either. In the showers, they would pour all this toxic shit. Like they would pour like men's cologne, a bunch of cleaners, all into the middle of the shower, right? And they called it like a name or something. And we would mop the shower with our hands, pushing a rag for like hours, and you're like breathing in these fumes, like you would puke. It was like so gross in there, and you're just sloshing this stuff around.
Oh my god,
dude, it was awesome. It was awful.
Was it like, so they're putting like bleach and cleaner and cologne and like all of that shit?
It was gnarly stuff, man. They would just walk in there and they would go into the cleaning closet and pour out whatever they had and just pour it all on the floor, and it was called scuzzing. And apparently they don't scuzz anymore because it was so bad for your back.
I have to ask Nick about scuzzing.
Is that your buddy from Recon?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he'll know what scuzzing is.
All right.
Because if he's been in it that long, then he'll know what scuzzing. I hear they don't do it anymore because it was not good for your back.
I remember Nick talking about, like, he never talked about scuzzing, but he talked about the thought of like they're trying to break you down so that you respond to orders like that, right? Like,
there was no question. Like,
you never question orders.
Drop and put your face in the dirt. It wasn't even like, there wasn't a nation and you're like, fuck, why would I? No, just like, it's just like you do what you're told. Like there's no other thinking,
Yeah. I'll tell you what, when you're talking about guys brainwashed, there was a couple guys that from high school, and there was like, they were in high school, they were a certain way, like maybe like, just a normal kind of guy, right? Like, just normal, nothing crazy. But then they got out of the Corps and they were total like army bro, you know what I mean? Like just like, yo, let's get this fucking pussy, baby, like fucking let's go, like, you know, just like, and like it's just a total like brainwash thing, because before it was just like they could, I don't know, I felt like there's freedom to be yourself, but then when you're in there, you're part of a crew now, right? And like you just want, like, you and the crew, like these are your essentially your new brothers, right? So if they're all acting one way and this is what the crew does, and that's what the fucking crew does, like that's how you do your thing. And I like, and there's nothing wrong with that. And honestly, if it was me at that age, when you're an 18, 19-year-old kid, you're so impressionable, that's just what you're gonna fucking do, you know?
Totally.
And so okay, so you go in, your MOS was a machine gunner, is that right?
Yep.
So what was the training like for that? Because that's very interesting. And how heavy is the machine gun?
You just specialize in learning all the intricacies. I mean, you become a master at the 240, which is a medium machine gun, and then a heavy machine gun, the 50 cal, the heavy machine gun, the Mark 19. And
that's the gimmick, like on the back of the Humvees, right? Like that's the
Humvees, or they can be like mounted on posts. But the 240 is, you know, you do walks with that. That's walkable.
Yeah.
The 50 cal and the Mark 19 are not walkable. And what I mean by that is the 240 you can deploy from the shoulder or the hip or you know, but most of the time, if you had to use it, you go to the ground. You know, there's a tripod already on it, so you can walk with it in a patrol. The big guns are mounted on big vehicles or on like posts, you know, that to protect the bases. Dude, and
that's fucking
you pretty
badass.
much master those guns. And there's another one called the Small, which is a small machine gun, and that is put in with the line companies. So those are small guns. So we were on like the big guns, you know?
Yeah. Nice. So, and how did you like it? Like as to be cool, like to be, you know, I don't want to fanboy out, but as far as like handling weapons go, like a fucking 50 cal, pretty fucking cool, babe.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it was a really hard job. It's a 76-pound receiver. It's crazy that I remember knowledge.
Wait.
What?
The not the 50 cal, the other gun, the
Mark 19.
Okay.
Just the piece that shoots the grenade out. That's a 76 pounds, and then the machine gun itself, the 50 cal machine gun, just the machine gun, I think is 56 pounds, and then the barrel's another 20 something pounds. I might be a little off. And we used to have to carry these things on our backs. In order to be a machine gunner, you had to do like hikes for like 10, 15 miles with these things on your back.
Oh,
and
my God.
With the pack on.
Yeah.
So,
Dude.
And that was like a rite of passage. You know what I mean?
Like you're not a real machine gunner until you do the march.
Dude, you just had. So they normally pick the bigger guys to be machine gunners.
Yeah. Bigger, stronger, can handle the weight. Yeah.
But it's still destroying so many. I don't know a single guy that I went through with that like doesn't have a really effed up back.
Oh, really?
All of everybody. Because of the weight we had to carry. It was insane. And our whole job was moving these guns around. So all day long we carried these guns around, and we'd have to take them apart and put them back together literally like hundreds and thousands of times.
Oh wow.
And to the point where we could do it blindfolded, and you know, you'd race to see how fast you could do it, and you'd have to do it under pressure, and you know, so we were constantly picking up stuff in weird positions, and you know, it's just so many backs just were destroyed so it was a really heavy job. But yeah, I mean, most people walking the planet don't know what it's like to shoot stuff like that. It's pretty insane.
Dude, people don't know. Like, dude, a 50 cal can take down a fucking building, right? Like, there's
yeah, they have these rounds called slap T rounds, and what it is they go through the building and then they explode inside.
Oh, shit balls, dude. What the fuck? That's insane.
They're pretty gnarly.
That's crazy. Hey man, there's a reason we got the fucking #1 military in the game, babe. All right, shit like that.
Wait, what do you mean now? A word from our sponsor.
Are you someone who struggles picking a podcast to listen to because your time is extremely valuable?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Are you someone who says, damn, there's not enough hours in the day to pick just one?
Wait, what the fuck?
Or are you someone who's interested in a podcast where they interview a wide range of people and find out how the hell they ended up in their profession?
It's like you read my mind.
If I say yes too, can you help me out?
Oh, shit!
On an unrelated note, while we call the police, if you said yes to all those questions, then look no further and allow me to introduce you to the Working Perspectives podcast, hosted by executive producer Matt Lavelle and accompanied by co-host Party Boy Pete McCormick. As mentioned, they interview a wide range of people and find out how in the purple nurple fuck they ended up in their professions, which I think, in my opinion, as someone who previously jobbed hopped from one place to another until I found something I'm good at, this is something worth investing your time in. You will learn about jobs that you never knew existed. Feel the grind that some of these people felt before getting to where they are today. And just like me, it'll maybe help you find that motivation you're looking for to pursue and what it is you want to do. And also, they have great segments in the middle of the show, such as The Weekend Pop-In. Give it a shot. And my two favorites, Memory Lane and What's Going Down in Gamertown, which is a segment I'm part of, so you should definitely look into it. So, that being said, after this video, go out and listen to the Working Perspectives podcast. You can find them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. All links are in the link tree, which is in the description. And now, back to the episode.
Once the movie's in theaters, it's gonna go onto the streaming services.
And the motherfucker is willing to do it. So the way I think, at least I perceive it, and I might be wrong, is like, okay, so you're a machine gunner, but you're part of a group that'll have a machine gunner, a rifleman, a corpsman, a medic, or whatever, right? Like that's all part of like your crew. Is that, or your?
I was in something called a combined anti-armor team, a cap platoon. So I literally was with heavy trucks the whole time. We would walk too and do patrols, but primarily we specialized in trucks. And what we were a quick reaction force. So when line companies would need to call in help, where there were like whenever a line company leaves, right, which are guys that walk all the time, there's always reinforcement for them. And the first level of reinforcement is trucks that go out with the big guns to provide support if they need it. Yeah. And then there is also air support.
Yeah.
You know, depending on
the severity,
depending on what's available to them. So that was our job. We trained vehicle formations and, you know, I lived in a truck.
Yeah.
Literally.
Were you so when you were out there, were you still in Humvees or were you in like an MATV or a JLTV?
Yeah, we were in something called MRAPs. Humvees were not really around by the time I made it in because they weren't strong enough.
Cutting it, yeah. The IEDs were really cutting through them, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, like Swiss cheese.
Jesus,
yeah,
that's fucking terrifying. You're literally like an IED could rip through. Like you're supposed to be traveling in this armored vehicle, and the IEDs just ripped right through it, huh? Like when
they had the people making those things were very smart and they just got bigger and bigger and Humvees never really held up to much. They weren't really designed for that under blast, you know.
Yeah.
So they never did well. And then when they brought in the MRAPs and the MATVs, they still were getting messed up.
So you were in what was you said it was an NRAP, is that it?
I was in an MATV.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
It's like a really, really beefed up, looks like something on Mars driving around, really, really beefed up Humvee.
So here, I'm going to share my screen real quick and I want to show it. So when we had Nick on the show, he was talking about, I think this is what he was saying. Do you see this?
Yeah, that's what I was in.
Dude, Justin.
And that thing's cool. Yeah.
That is fucking awesome. So wait, this gimmick up top here.
I lived in there.
The turret, right? Is that what it's called? Dude, that is so fucking awesome. Wow.
Except
Wow.
I didn't have that really nice thing overhead to give me shade.
Yeah.
It was 130 degrees in that country.
Dude,
Shut the hell up.
That's the craziest part is how hot it is over there on top of like everything you have to carry, everything you have to bring with you. And on top of it, it's so hot.
I'll never forget it, how hot it was. It was
How
so
much
hot you
weight
wouldn't
did you
sweat. The sweat would evaporate right off your head.
Shut the fuck up.
You just would have like these salt stains on your face and shit.
What?
Yeah, and you couldn't pick anything up without gloves on because if it was sitting in the sun and you went to pick it up, it was too hot.
Wow. So the smell must have been atrocious there of everything that you had to wear just because it's all sweaty and
To be honest, you lose the smell, man. Like you don't start to. I mean, we didn't even smell it. If an average person walked by us, you would smell us 2 blocks away.
Yeah. Jesus, 130 degrees.
But then it would get down to like 90 at night, right? When the sun would go down.
Oh, just 90.
We'd be freezing. We'd have to put a hat on.
Really?
Because it was cold to us.
Yeah.
You're so used to it.
Jesus. So did you end up losing weight? Because I knew a bunch of buddies that went over there.
So much weight.
That just they couldn't keep any weight on. It was fried off them, right?
Dude, I lost so much weight. We all did.
So Nick had brought up there. So the MREs. He told us a little bit about the MREs. Were you there with? What was your experience with the MREs over there?
First of all, the MREs are like. I don't have words now that I've been through some training of nutrition and things. They keep you alive, but they are like, man, so bad for the body. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. All salt and like processed whatever. Yeah.
Dude, the shelf life on them is like over 10 years.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, we were eating MREs that were like years old.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Jesus.
They don't go bad.
Yeah.
Ever.
Like, did they have this in Desert Storm? Huh?
There's evolutions of MREs. We weren't eating like the old evolution, but we were within the new evolution. But the shelf life on them, like if I kept the box for years and they were still fine.
Was it any good though? Like when you're
you couldn't pay me to eat one of them.
Right. Like not anymore.
Oh, I mean back then when we were
Did you have one that you liked?
When you're so, we would fight over the ones that were like good, mac and cheese and shit like that. Some of them would have like candy in them and stuff like that. But at the point, it was the same thing all the time. And some days you just were like, screw it. I'm not even going to eat today because
it's like you can't take the taste of it anymore.
Yeah.
Dude,
I just want it more tomorrow.
Yeah. Maybe you'll get your hunger for it back to the next day.
We'd get packages from home, and I would have my family send me like stuff in cans.
Oh, like Chef Boyardee or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
so you'd become like a packet chef. You would like mix this with that, with this, and I remember
prison they call it a chi-chi.
We were like kind of out of rations and like I remember or something one time and all I ate a bowl of ketchup and peas.
Oh,
babe. And this is ketchup and peas sitting out. It's not refrigerated. It's sitting out in 100.
Well, the peas were in a can.
But still, like it's sitting out in 130 degree weather.
Yeah.
So a can sitting out in 130 degree weather with some warm ass ketchup. Bon appetit. For some
reason we got Pop-Tarts. Like Pop-Tart must have been like, hey, we want a huge write-off for the military this year. So here's $1 billion worth of Pop-Tarts. And we had endless Pop-Tarts. Like no matter where you went.
Yeah.
But if you ever look in the ingredients on a Pop-Tart, you can't pronounce anything in it. And it's pretty much like it's just the most fake synthetic shit ever put into a pastry. And we would eat them all the time and we would put ketchup on them or like we'd mix them in with our meals to like, anything that tasted different from the day before.
Yeah. You're like, all right, maybe this s'mores Pop-Tart and some mac and cheese. Let's see how it goes.
No holds barred, man.
Yeah. I mean, dude, when you're eating, like, you might love mac and cheese, but when you're eating it 23 days in a row, it's like, okay. Yeah.
And this is MRE mac and cheese. It's not like,
it's not
you
your
know what I
mom's
mean?
mac and cheese.
This has been in a packet for a couple years. It's got shit in it to make it look like for a couple years. And then,
how does it even, so like, J-Dub, did you have a question? You said, I thought you were going to ask something.
Oh, no, I was going to ask, was the ketchup packet ketchup or in an actual bottle?
We did have, I think it was packet. Normally, probably.
Just hot packets and peas.
Oh, baby. Oh, I mean, dude, it's, what are you going to do? Right? Like, to be fair, that meal was probably better than something like an MRE you would have eaten for the 100th time, right? Like,
dude, we were just a bunch of young kids freaking
doing
in the wild, wild west eating Pop-Tarts, man.
Dude, that's the other thing. You were all so young.
It was like being on the moon. It was a different planet.
Yeah, it's probably like being on Mars.
Yeah.
It was, might as well have been on Mars. I didn't know any different.
Fucking hot enough to be fucking Mars.
Yeah.
Dude. And also, I remember Nick would say on his third deployment, and Brandon too, we're saying like multiple deployments, they're being put up, like, going up in rank and things like that. Nick was like 23 and in charge of like a 20-man team, like.
That's intense. He probably went in young then.
Oh, dude, he went in the day, like, it was like 10 days or something. Like, he went in like almost right after we graduated.
Yeah, so he probably was a sergeant. If he had 5 years under his belt, he was a sergeant. And yeah, that's the thing about the Marines. Sergeants are running freaking like platoon, or not a whole platoon, but they'll run a whole like a section. It's just an E5.
What would you say? What would you say about like the NCOs, so the non-commissioned officers, opposed to like the regular, like the officers that went to like college or whatever? Like, what was your opinion?
That's the difference. Like, I know how the Army works just from the little bit of how we had to interact with them, but like in the Marines, I never had any interaction with officers ever.
Oh, wow.
I mean, my platoon commander was one, and we would interact with him a little bit, like rarely. And in country, you'd come across them, but like you still didn't interact with them very much.
Why? Just like
they just weren't part of your world. Like, we were the grunts, man. You know what I mean? Like we didn't really deal with them too much.
Yeah. But they would deal with like your NCOs.
Yeah, like the higher ups, like, the higher echelon enlisted, they would have contact with them, and it would just run down the chain of command.
Yeah.
We didn't want to talk to them. Heck no.
Yeah.
We avoided them.
But what about like your NCOs? Did you like really look up to them, and like, were they good leaders and things like that? Or what?
I trusted them with my life once we went there.
Yeah.
But let me tell you what, when you first enter into the Marine Corps, and something different about the Marines that doesn't happen anywhere else is that you're called what's called a boot. So you are lower than scum when you first come in the Marines. You are like this piece of, once again, you're on the bottom of a totem pole, and the only way to get anything is to go through a deployment to get any credibility. So you have all these guys that have been in, and you're the boot. You're like, dude, the shit that was done to us as boots, it's just like, and you don't have a name anymore. You're just boot.
So, and
or you're fucking boot.
Yeah.
Or come here, boot.
Yeah.
For a while, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're just doing everything no one wants to do. You're doing it. You're treated like shit. You're not really sleeping. They're breaking you down hard.
Is that what like breaks guys, like that kind of treatment?
Dude. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
A lot of kids flew the cuckoo's nest, especially before deployment, wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
They were like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And then before deployment, you start going through pre-deployment training, heavy, and then it starts to even up a little bit, and they're like, okay, you guys we're about to all go keep each other alive. So like it starts to change a little bit.
Yeah.
But until you get back from deployment, dude, you're just a boot.
Jesus. What like like the stuff they're doing, are they like hazing and that kind of thing? And
I came in the Marine Corps and they were like, hazing isn't allowed. And then take care of our Marines. And then they would turn their back and walk away. And then it's just like you're left with your fucking guys. And it's like, you motherfucker, you want to come be with us?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to come pay the price, man. You know?
Yeah. But in a way, like they're almost like I would have to think like the NCOs at that time, like know kind of what it's like to be on deployment, and like they want to know, like they want to weed out the fuckers that can't take it, right? Like, is that part of it too?
I mean, at that point, we're pretty well weeded out.
Yeah.
To be honest, but no, it really is like they're just getting theirs.
Yeah, because they had it done to them.
You know?
Yeah.
I fucking hated boots when I got back, dude. And I had a couple fucking boots show up, dude. We were like, it's the same thing. It's like, I have no idea what the guys ahead of me went through when I came in. No idea. You can't even comprehend what you're about to go through, and let alone like my sergeants and some of these staff sergeants have been through like 5-6 combat deployments.
Oh, fuck off. Yeah.
And then you're dealing with someone on a regular basis that has that much under their belt. Like they're not the happiest individual when they're at work.
Yeah.
And then you have these new guys come in who are like, they're like so annoying, just looking at them.
Yeah. You're like, you fucker, you call yourself a Marine? You piece
so
of
it's
shit.
It's just a never-ending process, man, in the military, just constantly.
Yeah. So what would you say? I mean, so let's keep it going then. We've been on this for a while, even though I do love talking about the military. So you left the military. What are you allowed to talk about? What happened when you left?
When I left the military?
Yeah, when you leaving?
Yeah, I got out, and I mean nothing really. I mean, I got real sick when I was in.
Yeah.
And then I ended up like, it took me a while to recover from that. And then when I got out, I pretty much was a complete train wreck, and tried going to school and shit. Failed. That didn't work out too good. Went to school too early,
Yeah. That's when you got out's when you first met me. How about that? Yeah.
But the gym was my place of like
same.
I knew that place.
Yeah.
Yeah. But everything else was very foreign to me. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand I didn't understand anything. It was
the world's completely different, right?
People would just come up to me and say, "Hey man, how you doing?" I'd be like, "Why are you talking to me? I don't know you."
Yeah. Like, who the fuck are you? Get the fuck
now it's like, oh, people do that because we're human beings, and it's like, hey, we're friends.
Yeah. Fellow human. Yeah. But okay, so all right, so let's get to that then. So you got back from your deployment, right? And you got back. You got ill. What was it? What did you get sick with that got you that?
It was like adrenal, like my body shut down.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I was real chronically ill for a very long time.
Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was just like adrenal fatigue, chronic fatigue. It was like done.
Yeah. Dude, like when you're dealing with the 130-degree heat and you're lumping a fucking 100-pound pack everywhere and like all that stuff, like forget about it. It's brutal. So, okay, so let's keep talking. All right, so you get back, right? And that's when you went to the gym, and then you opened up your business, right? And that's when you started. So you did body work and float, and you had a float tank. So what did that entail? So let's just set it up. So you're back going to the gym. You and me are teaching boxing classes, and you're, working out at the gym, getting in some Brazilian jiu-jitsu and all that kind of cool stuff, hanging out, doing your thing, and then you buy a float tank.
There's something right before that.
Okay.
I was starting to teach people. I was a firearms instructor.
Yeah.
That was the second job I did in the military. I taught people how to shoot and how to, So when I came out, I took that skill and I was using it, and I actually was applying to police academies to get in. Thank goodness I didn't get in anywhere.
Yeah, how about it? Could you imagine where your
I'm
life
really
would be?
glad. It was like life didn't want me to take that direction, and then I had an experience that just opened me up, and that's when I shifted. When I opened up that tank, my spa is when I literally left all that shit behind and looked in a different direction, and I opened up that sensory deprivation. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
He's talking about these flotation tanks.
Yeah.
And he's talking about how they help PTSD and they help like pain and like mental, and it's good. It's like a meditation. I'm like, I'm going to go try that. I went and floated and I was like, I need to buy one of these. So I literally was on my way home, and in like a week I was building a facility off my house and put a tank in it. Oh,
wow. Dude, that's fascinating. So I remember you had that, and I'll tell you what, there was a bunch of guys still fighting and stuff at the time that they would sing your tank to the high heavens, man.
They would always come.
They loved it. Oh yeah,
a lot of them used the night before they would fight. Yeah. Everyone would come and float.
That was the new gimmick. Yeah, everyone was like, "Hey, get your shit back when you float." That was the whole thing. The recovery time, they said it was incredible for recovery. Yeah. So nice. Okay, so you did the float tank. Right. And then I remember too, like you were thinking about getting like your medical marijuana gimmick going too, right?
Yeah, I thought I was going to get into growing and like herbal stuff, which is why I went to school for organics. That just plopped on its head and found a different direction, and had a business for 4 years of just working on people. I did a body work called Polarity, and that's when I started to get into the art of working with people in the capacity of transforming their life. I was studying different aspects. I had a teacher, and I used the tank as a jump off point to use different states of consciousness to open people up to, and then they would come and they talk to me in like a session, and then after that, a year and a half ago, I just sold everything. Or 2 years ago, maybe at this point.
So right before the pandemic, you
before.
So you sold the float tank, and what else did you have? Like
I had a big sauna.
Oh Jesus,
mm-hmm.
Dude! So you sold the float tank and the sauna. I'll tell you what. Had you not sold them prior to the pandemic, you couldn't give those fucking things away right now.
No, you can't.
Absolutely not. Wow.
The sauna, maybe, because the sauna is one of the best things you can do for yourself right now is the IR sauna. But the float tank, no way.
Jesus. Well, I mean, hey, that was enough. Hey, man, you didn't do the police academy gimmick. You sold your stuff. Looks like someone, something's looking out for you here, huh? Right.
I went and drank ayahuasca, and it turned my life around.
So wait, so you kind of stopped the small business. You notice you're developing a good relationship working with people, right? Yep. And that you kind of see this as your calling, right? You get rid of the float tank, you get rid of the sauna, right? And then you did the ayahuasca, or did you?
No, I did that. That's what switched me from wanting to be with guns and police off and all that stuff. I didn't say this. When I made the decision to do this, then I got offered a job pretty much. It was like a test. The universe kind of tested me. I got offered some things, and I said, no, I'm done with that, and I went this way.
What did you get offered?
I pretty much got told, hey, if you come back again and do this test again, you're going to get the job.
Oh, shit.
I applied because it's getting into a police department. It's very political, so you got to play the games.
Yeah.
Because I interned with them for almost a year. I interned with them, so I worked there almost for free.
Yeah.
But as an intern, I didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
I followed them around, shot with them a little bit, got to know them real well. And I went through a bunch of tests, and then they were like, hey, come, this time's the time, And I was like, I ain't coming back this time.
Cool. So, okay. So you say no to the police academy, even though like you had tried several times, and it
was actually a department.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I got you. So you say no to the department, right? When did the ayahuasca come in? Was it before you said no or after?
Right before, because that's what I saw in myself, that I was going to go somewhere else with my life.
Okay. So you take the ayahuasca, right? And you have this spiritual awakening, and like, okay, this isn't for me. I'm meant to go this way, right? Is that when you started the training for, like, you took the course for the mentor and coach of the Hippocrates?
Yep. In the process of all that, even during when I had my business here, I was just going through pretty much school with a lot of different things. And I was in a coaching mentorship course under the Hippocrates Health Institute. Yeah. And then shortly after that, I started my diploma course for life coaching.
Yeah. So can you go into a little bit, like, what is that course like? So what are you kind of studying, and what is like the things you're doing, and what are you learning there? Can you give us like a little insight of it?
Yeah. So the Hippocrates course teaches you the Hippocrates protocols, and they're a health institute down in Florida where people go and they spend 3 weeks through programs, and people recover with some really, really heavy health challenges. Like the people fly in all over the world. So what this course does is it teaches you a very unique, it dials in the nutrition. It teaches you about supplementation and plant-based, like raw living plant-based nutrition. So my wife and I, we grow 70% of our food in our home.
Oh,
so
wow.
It teaches you how to do that. And it teaches you how to live a different way in the modern world to stay healthy and regenerate your body.
Yeah.
A very unique way. So I can really help people detox their systems.
Yeah.
And it really just cuts all the bullshit out in the world, because there's so many people telling you what to do.
Oof.
And like so many people, there's like billions of health coaches out there now, and whatever.
Oh, it's all over. Yeah.
It's everywhere. But what I found with this place is like they've been around for like 60 years. And and the results that they're having is that you don't hear about the results because they don't publicly talk about it, because you know how things are in the world.
Yeah.
So people are walking in and leaving completely different people in just 3 weeks. And when I saw the results and what it did for me, I was like, okay, I went and took their course, and it's far away from what's found in the mainstream, I'll tell you what, but it works. It works.
Hey, whatever, dude. If it works for you, it works for you, man. And I'll tell you what,
exactly.
Like these courses, some people like, I think if some people, maybe if it doesn't completely change their life, if they do get something out of it, then it's beneficial, right? Like
100%.
You know, like I think there's good in everything, and like you can take the good from things and use them to help, help yourself. And I think that's a fantastic thing. And I'm very proud of you, because I remember when you came back, you were like, like, and it's not like to say like I knew you so much personally, but like just from my interactions with you and my interactions with you now, you have transformed into a different person in a better mental state. And
I was so closed off, man.
Dude, I was really proud of you. Really, really.
Yeah,
proud.
I was so closed off. I wasn't even like, I was like existing. I wasn't living,
Yeah. And it was partially because you'd been fried, like you'd just been fried by life at the time. You know what I mean? Like
pretty much
from your deployment and just life in general, like you were taught, I feel like it was almost like you were taught to seek happiness and enjoyment in the wrong places. And then
self-destruction.
Yeah. Hey man, hey, I'll tell you what, when you're young, you can do self-destruction. Now it's like, oh my God.
It hurts.
Oh, now it beats the shit out of you. It really, oh God, self-mutilation really at this point. Oh my God, it kills you. So, okay. So you do the Hippocrates course. See, I got that right? Hippocrates. So you do the Hippocrates course. You you graduate from there, right? So you go, and you also got certified as a deep coach. Now, what's that?
A deep coach is a method of coaching that allows a person to like speak from a very deep part of themselves, like beyond the programming, beyond the education, beyond whatever they've been taught. Many times people, they answer back a certain way, and it's because of what they've been learned or programmed. It's almost like it's not really them.
Yeah. It's just like an automatic.
Yeah. We can only answer from what we're taught, but there's a deeper layer than even that. And that's like our being, our state of being as a human being, like beyond who would we be if we never went through any of our issues or traumas or problems? Who are we without all of that? And it allows for a person to speak from that place. And that place is very transformative.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, good. That's great, man. No, and you're right. Because sometimes, because of like the way like social media is and the media in general, it can kind of turn people into drones, and like where their thinking is just like, oh, if this is this, then it must be this. And if this is this, then it has to be this. And we're not political on this show by any means. And I will say that, but that's not a political statement. That's just something that you see. Like people are so influenced by what they see in the media that they don't have coherent, like actual thoughts. Their thoughts are pulled from somewhere else, So I think that's great that you're able to like, it's just you expand someone's thought process and their mental capacity, right?
Yep, absolutely. When a person can speak from that place, it's when they feel safe, not judged.
Yeah.
And they can just speak from a very, like, there's so much inside of us that wants to be said that we don't give enough space and time to.
Yeah. I would agree.
How someone like truly feels about something and they have never been able to say it because they're like, I don't know what people think of me, or I can't say that out loud, or nobody can hear me say that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is true. Like, and there's a difference between like people that are curious or people that have an opinion about something, and then people that are just being outwardly offensive to be outwardly offensive. That's not what you're saying. You're saying that like there's plenty of times where people see or hear something, and in their mind, they're thinking, oh, we're not allowed to say that, or oh, we can't say that, or oh, I can't have this thought. Or, oh, wow, why would anyone think that kind of thing, where you're like, no, you can express that. You can say what you're thinking. People will listen. People can hear. You don't have to be scared that someone's going to get angry, or you're going to start an argument, or you're going to hurt anyone's feelings. You're looking for information and you're searching for knowledge. And that's fine to have these type of questions and not be, thought of as abrasive or insensitive or anything like that. And I think that that's fascinating, man. And I do support that. I think that that's great.
It's a cool process to work with people in that way,
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, it just, it enlightens culture itself, I would say. Like, humanity as a whole. If you're able to, I work in an office, right? And in the office, everything is ultra political, right? And like, there's things you can't say, just because, like you said, HR, it's almost like a weapon at times that someone can just run down to HR and be like, oh, this is HR now. So in I'm part of a diversity and inclusion group, right? Where it's made up of all different people of all different ages, races, gender, everything, and like sexual orientation, all of that, right? And that doesn't matter. What we're trying to build is almost like a language to use to communicate, and it's a safe space. And those conversations that I've had in that safe space have been some of the most beneficial conversations I've had in my whole time at this office. Just because, like, look, if you have a question, ask it, because if you're going in there saying racial slurs and gay slurs and things like that, unacceptable. But if you're going there asking like, hey, am I allowed to say this? Like, I don't know, like, I think a lot of the derision in certain times, in certain cases, is because I don't know what to say, right? Like, I don't want to offend you. I just don't know how to say it. Right. You know what I mean? So like building a language and a culture of acceptance, I think that it starts with the deeper thinking and like asking the questions that you're afraid to ask and like what you're saying. So I think that, you're spreading a message of positivity and enlightenment. And I think that's fantastic, man. And I salute you for it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's go over this, right? I want to go over, and I really want to, we're coming close to the top of time. And I want to really, really plug your business, and I want to talk about you and your wife and her pursuits as well. So let's go over what is the process with Coach Mike in the life coach process. Can you give us like an overhaul of what people expect and how it goes?
Yeah, so I'm in the middle of making like online courses, and like I said, I have stuff for free that I get out there, so you get a little bit about what I do, but mainly you come and work with me for like at least 3 months. Some people stay on 8, 9, a year, but 3-month minimum.
Yeah.
And we meet on a regular basis, and we go through this process called this framework technique that I made and I developed, and it helps you transform your life in a very like accessible, meaningful way. And it can really unstuck you and allow you to break free into something very positive in your life. And I use the deep coaching. I use everything, all these different tools in different ways, and we form a very intimate relationship together. And it's all about awakening what wants to happen within you,
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I do the consultations on the side with the health coaching,
Yeah.
And so there's that element. There's a big physical element to it too.
Dude, I'll tell you, mental health now is more needed than it's ever has been, I think. Right. And dude, when I see your TikTok stuff and I see your Instagram posts and talking with you, dude, the stuff you put out is beneficial. Like, it is good knowledge to have, and you present
it's just what helped me and what path I walked, I was barely, I don't know how I really got here, but I was barely hanging on there for years. And you don't really know that you're in that place until you climb out of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I would listen to like YouTubers and stuff like that and help me climb out of it. So now I'm just like, hey, I'm going to do the same shit. That's awesome. And people that like my message, they're the people that want to work with me because they're vibing to what I'm putting out. And they're the people, I can only work with serious people.
Yeah.
I have to let go of people sometimes because they aren't ready to like really do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not good for them and it's not good for me. I'm not in there to take your money.
Yeah.
And I don't want you wasting my time, and I don't want to waste your time. If you're in there just to talk to me, I want to help you change your life because the consciousness on this planet is changing. And I want to help support that.
Yeah. Dude, and you're doing it. No, I agree. Hey, just like Gabriel Rosado said, if you don't fucking love it, don't fucking do it. Right. Yep. And that's what you're doing, man.
Pretty simple.
I'll tell you what, too. It's one of the things that we found with this show. One of the questions that we ask people is that if you could pick a job to do for the rest of your life that was monetarily, beneficial and like you could support you and your family on it, what job would you choose? And it sounds to me like you found the job you would choose.
I did it for free for a long time.
Yeah.
Like without even thinking about it. I didn't realize what I was doing. And then I'm like, holy shit, I have this thing with like conversations with people. Like I can like connect with them in this way. And I'm doing it now. And it's really awesome.
Dude, see, I'll tell you what, that's one thing that I think it should be a benefit is that people, and from what I found, the people that seem like the happiest or most content are the people that they don't do what they have to necessarily. They do what they love as like a job, right? And those people are the most successful and the most content in their field because they do what they love every day. And I think that, if more people aspired not to do like what's, like, hey, how do I get the most money and how do I screw the most people or whatever, if they did I love this the most, right? Like finding out like, I love this job the most and going to work every day happy and meaningful and finding like finding like real like solace and happiness in the work that you do. I think if people sought that more than like the money side of it, I just think things would be, I think that would be great. You know what I mean? I think that would be helpful for everybody and just make the world a more better fulfilled place. But then
100% would.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. You and your relationship with your wife. Are you cool to talk about that?
Yeah, we can plug that in real quick. A huge aspect of my work is I can really, really help relationships. And it's because of, for the first 7 years, I've been married for, 11 years now. And we say that we've been married for 4, really, when we joke, because the first 8 was me completely gone in my mind. I mean, I pretty much had other wives. I wasn't married to them, but like we lived separately when I was in the military, and I was very, very dysfunctional with other women, and I was just gone in my head. I never even thought I was doing something not right. I just was doing whatever I could to hold on,
Yeah.
So I used women in that way. And I never was like, they never looked at me like how do you say that? Like I'm like a playboy or whatever, you know what I mean? I never came across like that. I legitimately had like deep connections with like many different people.
Yeah.
And I was living a complete lie for a really long time. And then when I got cracked open, when life just came down and smacked me over the head with a sledgehammer, I was like, holy shit, this isn't right. Like what I'm doing, I don't want to be doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And we went through, my wife decided that we made a choice to stay together. Once my truth came out and everything. And we spent 2 years putting our relationship back together in ways we did stuff most people never would want to do. I mean, like it was like work.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work. And we learned a lot of angles and perceptions and things that can happen in relationships.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I've never met another couple that have stayed together after what we've been through. I haven't met anybody.
Yeah.
So we have I learned that once I learned the coaching and the working with people like I do, a lot of people come to me for relationship coaching.
That's great.
But whether you don't have an affair under your belt or not, I can really help people connect more deeper into the relationships, because I have the deepest relationship with my partner now, and it goes way beyond this world. Like it's a much deeper, way beyond the physical. I mean, you can really transcend your life using a relationship as a tool. And that's kind of what I really like to help people do.
Yeah. And an affair isn't a prerequisite to work with you.
Absolutely not. No. No. I'm just saying, like, there was a lot of them under my belt. So like, that's how dysfunctional we were.
Sure.
Whether it's an abuse problem or an addiction problem, or like, and I don't mean physical, sometimes it's a word thing, or some people drown themselves in different aspects of their life, and it's an abuse to the other side of the relationship, because that person's doing everything they can to hold on to the other side. And it's this crazy pendulum that can happen.
Yeah.
But when the choice is made, the first thing I do when I work with people is I said, do you choose this? And if they both choose, then you work from that power of that choice, because that choice is very powerful.
Yeah. And it's
and
a
you
choice
build upon
they're
that
making,
choice.
right? Like, yeah, it's a choice they're making together to commit to this, right?
That choice is everything.
Yeah.
And you build upon that, not all the past stuff, not all the expectations or the mind chatter, but like you build upon that choice.
Yeah. Plus too, also you're coming from like, there's some shrinks and psychiatrists and whatever that, they'll learn from a book. You learn the hard way, we'll say.
I learned the way that, I did. I always say I had to learn the hard way my whole life, and I don't do that anymore. But I'm a much different energy than counseling and therapy. It's a lot different.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems therapeutic as well, right? Like
it is therapeutic, but it's very much coming from a place of empowerment.
Yeah, like it has a similar feeling to it. Like if you're gonna show up, you have to want to do the work. Like if you don't want to change, you can't make somebody want to change. But if they want to change, you show up. You will give them every step and every. Because that's the other thing. A therapist over Zoom is only so effective. But if you're working with somebody, you have other techniques that are actually like useful to them. It can go miles.
Yeah,
totally, 100%.
Yeah, agreed. And you see, also too, to be said, like you see some therapists like. They're there, like they're kind of like going through the motions. You're all in, right? Like when you come in, you're like, look, I'm here. If I'm not going to change your life, then I'm not like, then it's not like it's on you. It's not on me because I'm.
There's no doubt. If you work with me, your life will change. There's no like out buts about it, because it's not so much that I'm fully engaged in you. It's that the more engaged in my own life that I become, the more I can provide for other people, and I'm in it.
You're all
like
in.
I choose this,
Yeah, you're all in, brother. Nice.
Yeah.
So, dude, that's great, man. I'm happy for you. So real quick, and we don't have to do this. So I've never done ayahuasca. Would you be cool to like? Don't say names or anything like that. But would you be cool to talk about the process of doing it?
Yeah, I'll talk about what it is. Yeah.
Okay. So real quick before we get out of here, I did want to talk about this. So you had mentioned your life being broken open, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was when you did the ayahuasca and really just shine a light on what you want your life to be, mm-hmm. right? Can you go through the process of like, how do you do, like, what is it like to take ayahuasca? Because it's something like, I've never done it, and I think you're the only person I know that has, and it just seems it's like a foreign concept, but it seems to me like it is a very enlightening tool.
Yeah, it's ayahuasca it's two plants mixed together. That's it. Okay. So it's just two plants that are mixed together, and it's a special formulation that is a special way to prepare it and everything. And it's a medicine for the human being. See, the modern mind in the Western world, we think of medicine like pills or all this other stuff. But this is a medicine from the earth. It's no different than some of the other things that are out there. It's a medicine for the human being to literally see themselves for who they truly are, without all the masks that we wear in our life that we don't want to see. And we cannot hide from ourselves because we see ourselves, and that's it. And then when we see ourselves, it's a perspective that you cannot get from anything else. Yeah. And the medicine also has a big detoxifying element. So it does really well for people that are working away from substances or anything like that. It cleans the body of disease. It cleans the body of ailments and things like that. So it's a very mental, spiritual, and physical journey that a person goes through. And what I can say is you have to be very careful where you go to participate, because it is not something that you take lightly. It is not something to just do. No, it's a very serious and sacred thing that you participate in. Yeah. And a lot of time people say, I feel called to it. Like I heard the name and I felt like I was just called to do it. Like I had to find it. I went on a wild goose chase to find it. Yeah. And it was a blessing for me because it was the medicine that allowed me to transform my life. Yeah. But it's a medicine for the human being. We are beings being human. That's why we're called a human being. We're a being. This is a human experience. So we're being human. And this medicine allows you to connect with your being, with who you are.
Dude, I've never thought of it like that, but you're absolutely right. We're a being that is going through the human experience. Wow.
Yeah. That's why we are called a human being.
Damn. Mind blown, J-Dub?
I'm very intrigued.
Yeah. Dude, that's fascinating. So you were able to experience that, and like when that happened, not only did it transform your life, but it transformed your wife's and countless others that you've worked with, and that like you really put you on a path and on a journey that that's like
that's what led us to actually when I drank the medicine with my wife, and that is what I was about to marry another woman in 3 days. And my Taita, the shaman who I work with, told me, he said, "You bring your wife here." And I'm like, "No way." He said, "No, you bring your ex-wife." And I'm like, "No way." I brought her and we drank the medicine together, and the medicine showed me that she's the woman for my life and who I'm supposed to be with.
Wow.
And then it took us through a process of healing and what we had to do with our life.
Yeah.
And changed everything.
Jesus, dude, that's crazy. That's incredible.
And pretty much needless to say, the girl that was about to fly here from Brazil, we had divorce papers signed and everything. Like, my life was completely transformed.
Wow.
In many different ways.
Dude.
And that is also the night that I went and I told her all the truth about everything, because the medicine said, if you're going to be with her, you need to tell her every little detail over the past 10 years. Everything you've ever lied to her about, you need to tell her. And it took me a year to remember it all.
Damn.
Because we forget shit. We lie to ourselves.
Yeah. Was that therapeutic for you as well? Like the coming clean process and like releasing all those demons that you had held and like all the lies and everything like that? So like
sometimes when I would tell the truth about things, I would get sick.
Wow.
Because another thing that I learned, and this is what I work with people on very deep levels, is when we lie, we get sick. It's a sickness. It puts sickness in our body. Every single time we get sick.
Yeah.
So when I came clean about a lot of things, I broke out in a deep fever. I was very sick.
Damn. And that's just your body telling you like, this isn't what you're supposed to be doing, right?
Yeah,
like
it was letting go.
Wow.
All the shit that I buried inside of me, it was coming out.
Jesus.
My nose was running. My eyes were watering. I had a fever. I was sick, but I knew what the sickness was.
And you were able to get it. That's incredible, man. That's absolutely incredible. And dude, thanks a lot. Like now, like how freeing is it that the person you're with, you can be 100% open and honest with, and like never, ever, ever have to like hide anything, you know?
Yeah. One of the things we say a lot is, yeah, we're happy and we are, and all these good things, but we're free.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a cool thing.
Yeah. It seems like it, man. Seems like it. You've never, I mean, like, you know, at least I've never seen you in a better place from as long as I've known you, and I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're perfect or anything, but
no one is.
You know, not saying that, but like we feel we can. There's nothing there anymore. You know, there's nothing to hide or anything.
Yeah, and there's nothing to be afraid of either. And you can, no fear, no dishonesty. I mean, that seems like the basis for the best relationship you can have.
it has to be.
Yeah.
I call it transparency, not just like lying, but like being so honest about even what's going on with you. You know, sometimes we don't want to share things about what's going on with us, but our relationship is the closest reality in our life. You know, if I had a dream about banging some chick, I should be able to talk to that, you know, because it was in the past. Oh, she came up in that dream last night. Most people will be like, you talk to her about that? You say that? I'm like, if I wake up and had a crazy dream about some chick that was 10 years ago, yeah, I mean, it's something I need to express. And she does the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, be very transparent, because it's just life. This is just life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. It's life.
Yeah. There's no sense lying about it. Tell you that. Yeah.
Or hiding it or keeping it inside.
And you have nothing to hide, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's great, man. That's great. And I'm happy you found that enlightenment and that this is your journey. And it seems like it's been great. So, but I do want to do this though. So we're coming to the top of time. So before we get out of here, I want to do another shout out, another plug for your business and your wife. So again, what's your website and your socials? And we're going to have links in the description, but go ahead, Mike. What do you got?
Check me out on my social media. It's Michael Vasconez 11. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, michaelvasconez.com. And my wife has an awesome business. She's an animal communicator. She talks to your animal.
Yep.
She literally will connect with your animal, send you a recording back of the conversation. It's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Special thing she stepped into in the past 8 months. And so that's NikkiVasconez.com. You'll see that, and check her social media out. Tons of testimonies. Yeah. It really will blow your mind. It still blows mine, and I'm around it all the time. She will legitimately talk to any animal that you have in a very special way. She can connect with it and have a full conversation with it. It's amazing.
Dude,
check it out.
I follow her on Instagram, and it's incredible. Really, 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 really special stuff. No. And yeah, like I said, links to everything will be in the description. So everyone check it out. You'll definitely it's very beneficial and very healthy stuff, and dude, more power to you. So we're coming to the top of time. So Mike, anything you want to say to the listeners before we get out of here?
Taking care of yourself is taking care of the world.
God damn. God damn. I'll tell you
what. I like this guy.
I'll tell you what. We've had a lot of people say shit before we get out of here. That's probably the best thing anyone's ever fucking said. Well, besides, I think Nick said, to quote Ricky Bobby, America's the best planet on earth. So go fuck yourself. Yeah. But J-Dub, before we get out of here, anything you want to say to the dozens and dozens of Working Perspectives podcast listeners?
Nah, this is really cool. It was nice to meet you, Mike. I really like this.
You too, my friend. You too.
You behave yourself.
Hey, this was great, man. So this has just been another episode of the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied by special guest host Justin Richardson, and our guest today was the empowering, the incredible Mike Vasconez, and you can find him. All the links and everything will be in the description of this episode, so please check him out. It's really good stuff. For the Working Perspectives podcast, you can find us on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can hang out with us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast, and join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. Other than that, stick around for the ad read. Thanks. See ya. Do you have a message or a story inside of you that you've been waiting to tell? Have you always dreamed of writing a book, but are intimidated by the complexities of the book publishing world? Perhaps you want to use a book to launch your public speaking or consulting career. If so, please reach out to Scott & Bell Publishing, located right here in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Scott & Bell Publishing handle all genres and authors with all experience levels. Scott & Bell Publishing gives authors 100% creative freedom and a higher royalty split. They can be found at www.skotbell.com. That's www.s as in Sam, K as in Kite, O as in October, T as in Tom, B as in Boy, E as in Edward, L as in Larry, L as in Larry.com. That's Scott & Bell Publishing, where the authors go.